Hi everyone, welcome to my channel here, podcast, video, whichever format you're watching or listening on. Do enjoy this fabulous next interview with Andy Qunta. Now Andy is a songwriter, composer, keyboard player extraordinaire. He helped pen the amazing song You're the Voice by John Farnham, including Missing You from John Waite, plus many other hit songs with Chris Thompson of Man for Man, and his collaborations with other songwriters and musicians has no bounds. So enjoy this fabulous interview. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting to Andy. We talk about our mutual love of the band Genesis. We talk about some trivia regarding that band and all sorts of things to do with keyboards, music. I know you're going to like it. Leave your comments, get in touch. If there's anything you want to know, I look forward to seeing you and hearing your comments. Enjoy and speak to you soon. Interview coming up with Andy Qunta. Andy Qunta, welcome to my podcast, video, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Hello, and how are you? Welcome.
I'm very good. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on here. And, sorry to take so long with my technical details. If anybody,
technical details? We didn't have any technical details. Who says anything about technical details?
Anybody who knows me knows I know nothing about, like computer stuff. But anyway, here we are, finally. Great.
Absolutely, here we are. So nice to meet you, finally, albeit virtually.
Right.
Yeah, so I recently conducted an interview with Rick Driscoll, and he said I should get in touch with you and have a chat, seeing as you have, or we have a friend in common. So here we are.
Right.
So Andy, tell us first of all, whereabouts are you?
I am in Corona, California, which is about 60 miles east of LA. And been here in California for 30-something years now, and enjoying the weather. And
you're originally from the UK?
Originally from the UK, Warrington, actually, up near between Liverpool and Manchester.
Right.
And then I lived in Hastings on the south coast for a long time.
Very nice. Yeah.
So I think of that more as home because I don't remember so much about Warrington. And I lived in London a little bit too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so this channel's all about music and a few other little bits and pieces that people tend to share with us. So let's start at the beginning and find out about how you got into music in the first place. What inspired you? When did you start playing? What instruments do you play, and where did it all start?
Okay, well, I'm from a musical family, so I've a brother and two sisters, my mom and dad. Everybody was into music one way or another. So by the time I was 6, I was signed up for classical piano lessons. And then when I was 10, I think I started playing violin as well. I didn't really like either of them. Not that I didn't like the instruments. I just didn't like the lessons and having to practice and all that kind of thing. But nevertheless, I did learn about music from that. And then I saw Cliff Richard and the Shadows on TV when I was very young, probably 6 or 7 or 7 perhaps, or 8, I don't know, something like that. And I thought, now that's what I want to do. I want to stand around there with the guitar, with my mates and all that sort of thing and be on TV. So that's where all that started. And of course, my brother was similarly into it all. So we were half a band right away. Originally I played the guitar and he played the drums, and then he switched to bass. And then when we got to a point where probably I was maybe 18 and he was 16, he was borrowing my guitar. And one day I realized he was much better than I was. So then he became the guitar player. And I thought, well, I better play something else. So I'll be the keyboard player. So that's when the keyboard started.
Right. And what keyboards did you start playing at that age? Was it?
The first one I had was I think it was a Elka organ. It was like it was an Italian make thing, and it sounded a bit like a Vox Continental. So it wasn't like a Hammond organ sound. It was more like Sooty would play, as I would think. And it was a nightmare. It wouldn't stay in tune. Each note had a little tuning thing, and once you moved it, several of them would move. And so I, in the end, took to using super glue to glue the tuning things in the spot, but it was just out of tune most of the time. So that was my start. Yeah.
Right. And then you progressed rapidly, I guess, to synthesizers
Well, I don't know about rapidly, but I did get there. Yeah, I did finally get a Hammond organ, and I had a electric piano. I forget, probably an Elka as well. Then I got a Wurlitzer electric piano, and then the synthesizers started. So I got a Roland string synthesizer,
Right.
which was very fancy at the time, and a Minimo.
The Roland, wasn't that the Roland string thing?
Yeah, it was called an RS-202 string synth or something like that, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really nice sound. But it really only had one sound. It had two different types of strings and two different types of brass, which didn't sound like brass, and I never used. So it really was a keyboard that only had one sound, but it was great.
Right. Yeah. So you started writing songs at an early age, did you?
Oh, yes. When I was first having my piano lessons, I wrote a tune, and I named it after the book I was reading at the time, which was called The Happy Man and His Dump Truck.
All right. Okay.
That was my first tune. And then when my brother and I started getting bands, well, first of all, my brother and I, there was just two of us, and we were at boarding school, so we could never really do anything on a consistent basis. Yeah. But in the school holidays, we did, and the first gig we ever did, which was at the Pink Elephant Club in Wigan. Neither of us were old enough to be in the place. We were underage for being allowed in. Our mum was the roadie, along with one of our sisters, and we had recorded drums and rhythm guitar on a tape, and then we went in and sang over it with another guitar and a bass. And people had never seen anything like that before, but of course everybody does that type of thing now.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
that was actually the first band we ever saw, was ourselves playing. We'd never seen a band live up until that point.
All right. How old were you then?
I was probably like 16 and he was 14, I think.
Right. So after that, then where did your musical journey take you? My brother and I, by this time, we moved to Hastings, and so in the early 70s, we had a band called Factory. If you can see it, I've got the shirt on now. Yes.
We went from 1970 to 76, and then we split up. And in 2015, we all got back together again, all original four members. And so in our early days, we did a lot of gigs. We gigged all over the country, in Germany, in the Netherlands, but we never got a record deal. So in 2015, we decided to get back together to make an album. So we've actually made 2 albums since then.
Right. Okay.
And then after that, we had another band called Head On, and then punk was in. So we're talking like 1980. So we decided we couldn't do what we were doing because it was nowhere near punk or new wave. And that's when I got the chance to join Hazel O'Connor's band.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was in the 80s.
Yeah, so 1980. So yeah, the sax player from Hazel's band, who had played on the Breaking Glass soundtrack, her movie her film she did, he lived in Hastings also. So he said to me, we're looking for a keyboard player. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's not usually my kind of thing. So I had to cut my hair and shave off my mustache. And so like about a week or 2 after I joined them, I was on Top of the Pops. Right.
Well, that must have been a lot of fun in those days.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great.
That was every musician's favourite. Well, most people's, especially people at school's favourite show. Every Thursday night, 6 o'clock. I think it was, wasn't it? Thursday night.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, 6 or 7. And once you'd been on there, you were considered that you'd made it if they'd seen you play on Top of the Pops. So it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So after working with Hazel O'Connor, what were you doing? What happened then?
Then after that, I think that finished around the end of 81. Hazel decided she didn't want a permanent band anymore. So we were kind of looking for work. But our agent, John Giddings, was also the agent for several other people, including Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel. So he got me a job playing keyboards on that tour, which is where I met Rick Driscoll.
Right.
Same one. And him and the drummer, Lindsay Elliott, were hilarious. I mean, I didn't know these guys. We did 3 days rehearsal.
It was Stuart Elliott, wasn't it?
What's that?
Wasn't it Stuart Elliott?
Well, no, it's his brother Lindsay was playing on that tour. Stuart was the drummer, and his brother Lindsay took over from him. So
right.
Yeah. So when I was doing it, was those two. And as I say, I really didn't know these people, but we're sitting on the bus going to the first gig, and they're coming up with all this hilarious stuff, and I was just sitting there like a giggling idiot. But so yeah, it was a lot of laughs with those guys. Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
So how long were you with Cockney Rebel?
Oh, we just did one British tour, so it was like 3 weeks, and then beginning of '82, we went in and recorded a single. So it was 2 songs that Midge Ure produced.
Right.
One song was called "I Can't Even Touch You." I think that was the main one, which I see now is on one of his greatest hits albums. So I was very impressed. Okay, I'm on a Steve Harley's greatest hits album.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So that was good. So that was the end of that. And then later that year, I joined Icehouse.
Yes, a great band, Icehouse, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was good. And so I was 6 years or more, 6.5 years with them.
How did you join them? Was that through the same management, or?
Yeah, well, sort of. They were from Australia, and it was, by this point, I think it was just the singer was left. The rest of the band had gone by the wayside by this point. And so the singer and the manager of the band were in London, and they asked different people if they knew a keyboard player.
Right.
And they were a bass player too, actually. But it so happened John Giddings, the agent that I mentioned, was one of the people they asked. They also asked people at Chrysalis Records, and I'd worked with one of their artists, Pauline Black from the Selector. So all these different people they asked all mentioned my name. So they called me up and said, well, everybody seems to think you should be doing this. So will you come in for an audition? So I said, yes, I believe I will. Yeah.
Right.
So there was me and the bass player, Guy Pratt, auditioned at the same time.
Yes. Oh, excellent. And Guy went on to work with Pink Floyd shortly after that, didn't he?
Yeah. Have you had him on your show?
No, I haven't actually. It'd be great to get him on the show, actually.
Oh, he's great. He's hilarious. He's got a lot of great stories. He's played with so many people by now.
Yes.
So he would be good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you still keep in touch with him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was over here a few years ago. He does a one-man show, like telling funny stories about his career. And I went to one of his shows 4 or 5 years ago, but we still occasionally talk over the internet.
Right. Oh, excellent. So, talking of keyboards with Icehouse, do you remember what you were using in those days when you were?
Sort of, yes. When the beginning, it was a Prophet 5.
Beautiful.
Which is the main one.
Yes.
And then I had a little itty-bitty Roland, I think it might be SH something or other. And I'm not sure.
SH-101, the grey one.
Yes, I think so. Well, we basically used that. It was whatever it was string sounds mostly.
Right.
And then and the Prophet 5, which Ivor, the singer of Icehouse, he loved it and used it on his album. So he obviously wasn't just using that.
The Prophet 5 was just
great.
sequential circuits. Superb piece of kit.
You could play 5 notes at once.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Polyphonic, yeah. 5.
It was a marvel.
Yeah. There's no point having more than 10 because you only got 10 fingers. So.
Well, I always say that. That's true. Yeah.
It's like 2 fingers in each hand. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Octaves and your nose in the middle. That was it.
Yeah. I've done that before too.
Yeah. So what happened after Icehouse then? Was that sort of late 80s when that kind of?
Yeah, it was like I was with them from 82 to 88. So we went all around the world with that band, TVs and radios, and quite a bit of success, especially in Australia. Yeah. But I'd kind of had enough of it by then, and I got a chance to do a solo album. Which I did. So I came to LA to do the solo album. It's called Legend in a Lounge Room. And funnily enough, there's an Australian, what do you call it, re-release type of label there that's going to re-release it soon with a bunch of song demos that I'd done at about the same time. So that's how I came to LA in the first place.
Right. But are you singing on that album?
Yes. I had to audition for the singing for my own album. I said, I think I want to sing it. And the people that were running it were saying, are you sure? Well, let's hear what you can do. So I went in the studio and sang a couple of songs. I said, yeah, okay, so you can do it.
So you gave yourself your own job.
Well, I was already convinced. I just had to convince the others.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And then after that?
After that, well, since then, musically, I've mostly been in classic rock tribute bands.
Oh, right. Excellent.
So for musicians from the old days like us, it's a bit of a lifeline, because otherwise I don't know how we would play, really, because the music has changed, obviously. But when you're playing in a classic rock tribute band, the music stays the same. You're still playing 70s, 80s, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do a Foreigner, a Deep Purple, Bad Company, Rod Stewart, and a couple of others.
Right.
It's a lot of
But you've
fun.
had a few successes in your writing.
Right, yes. Well, the main one being You're the Voice.
Yes.
The John Farnham one.
Of course, yeah.
That was rather a surprise. Although we did think it was a good song right from the start.
Right.
But you never know what it's going to do.
Is that hanging behind you, by the way?
Can you see this one I'm pointing to?
Yes, yes.
That is that's one they gave us when it was #1 in Germany for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So they made that for the publishing company made that for us.
Oh, great.
The other things are all Icehouse related, but
Right.
yeah, that's the All the Voice one.
So how did you come about writing that song? And,
Well, it's quite a story, and there's 4 of us that ended up contributing to it, and we've probably all got different stories about it. But it started off with Chris Thompson, my friend Chris Thompson, the singer from Man from Man's Earth band, the Blinded by the Lightning. I had written a song for Man from Man's Earth band that they recorded in '82. And I met Chris, and he said, "Oh, let's write some songs together." I thought, "Wow, this is fantastic! He's the best singer in the world," and blah blah blah. So we started writing, and anyway, at the end of '85, it was between Christmas and New Year. He phoned me up. He said, "I've got this idea for a song where everybody's kind of singing together, and it's all kind of good vibes, like in the Christmas spirit, as it were." But so I went over there, and we just started. We got a drum beat. And then when we were putting in the hi-hat part of it, he had a Lindrum machine.
Yeah.
The hi-hat has another setting where it could be hand claps instead of hi-hat. And the previous time he'd used it, he used the hand claps. So when we put in what we thought was a hi-hat, it sounded like hand claps.
That explains it, because you got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be a hi-hat.
First of all, we thought, "Oh, damn, what a nuisance. We've hit the wrong thing." And they thought, "Wait a minute, that sounds pretty good."
Right, yeah.
So we kept that. And then I kind of played some smooth chords over it because it was a choppy beat. And then we liked that so much, we jammed on it. Chris was on the bass, I was on the keyboard, we had this drum beat, and we did that for like 45 minutes. And we thought, well, we're going to probably need another bit to the song. We're going to do something else. But we tried everything, and we couldn't think of anything to go with it. Nothing worked. So we called up Maggie Ryder, who before she was one of the backing singers for Eurythmics and all kinds of different people, Queen and stuff. And she came in, sat at the piano, and she immediately came up with the other bit, the bridge kind of part.
Yes.
So we got all that, and then we thought, wow, we've got to make sure we don't blow it with the lyrics. And Chris ran into Keith Reid, who is the lyricist for Procol Harum.
Yes.
Who wrote Whiter Shade of Pale and all that. And Chris says, "Well, we got this song. We've got an idea for the lyrics. Will you help us?" And he said, "Yeah, okay." So that they finish it off, and there you go. Yeah.
Right. So how did John Farnham end up actually recording that song?
Well, there's another good one. I was in Australia with Icehouse, and I had recently signed a deal with Rondor Music, publishing songwriting deal. And when I got to Australia, I said to the office in Sydney, "Have you got my songs? Can you pitch them?" And all that. They said, "Well, we don't have any of his stuff." I said, "What?" So I called up the office in London, and it so happened that there was going to be a meeting of all the offices in the world in Sydney in about a couple of weeks. So the head of the London operation, when he came over, he brought over tapes of demos that I had.
Right.
And so sent them straight to that office, and they said, "Well, we've been working with John Farnham. We'd sent him another song before that he liked. We think he's going to like this one. We'll send it over." And yeah, they did like it, and that was it. So that's how he came to hear it and record it.
Well, it's a fascinating song. It's a great song, great story as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of story. But like I said, you could probably ask the other 3 co-writers, and they'll probably have their own versions.
Yeah,
many stories with it too.
Is there a particular part of the song that you're proud of that you?
Well, the main thing was that the original chords that I played, which are used for both the verse and the chorus, which is really what kicked it all off. And that's how it had a sort of a feel and a vibe to it. which is why we were able to just play it for 45 minutes before getting bored with it.
Right.
So that's the bit. But I mean, the whole thing was amazing, and the chorus line, you got the "you're the voice trying to understand it," and then you got the "whoa, whoa, whoa." Well, I think it was Chris that came up with the "you're the voice trying to understand it," that melody.
Yeah.
And then after we'd finished doing what we were doing one day, Maggie on her way home phoned up and said, "Look, I've got this other bit in my work. It goes like this, whoa, 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 whoa." So we put that together with what Chris had come up with. And, it was just one of those things. It just worked.
Yeah, that's the great thing about songwriting. I mean, something can just click. You just know when it's right. You just know it. You know when you've got the right series of notes in the right order.
Yes. No.
Unlike Morecambe and Wise, when they had that interview with had Andre Previn on, he says, "I'm playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order."
Right order. That's right. Yeah. Well, it's just one of those at work. But
it's one that was in the right order at the right time, which is fantastic. And it's such a great song, and so many people know it. I mean, it's an absolute classic. You should be very, very proud of that.
Oh, absolutely. Every time, especially when they do it for like a charity organization, quite often will want to use it. And,
yes.
We don't get money for that, but still, that was what that was the intention of it, was to get that good vibe over.
Yes. Did you end up writing more songs with Chris Thompson?
Oh, yeah, we wrote a lot. Yeah, quite a lot over a period of 2 or 3 years, probably. We had John Farnham did another one of ours, and we had one that was recorded by John Waite, if you remember him. The song called "Missing You," and he did one, and all kinds of people. Jim Capaldi was another one.
Right.
But when this re-release of my solo album has a bonus 15 demo thing with it, and a lot of songs will be on there too.
Right. Are you releasing that through which company?
They're called Melodic Rock.
Right. So that'll be online everywhere, I guess.
Oh, yeah, it will be, yeah. I don't know when it's coming out, but they're working on it right now. They're remastering everything and doing all that first.
Oh, okay. So what I'll do is I'll put in the links below this video and also on the podcast, if anyone wants to listen to your stuff, have you got a website or any kind of place that people can find you online?
Well, andykunter.com.
Yeah.
And stuff on there. And also... there's another one, Factory 1970, Factory 1970. That's the band, my brother and I's band that we reformed. So we have quite a bit of stuff on there too.
So factory1970.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually it's combined with my website, but they're separate, but it's all in the same place.
We'll put that down, and
great.
So people can check it all out. That'd be great. So what do you have planned for the future? Or at the moment, what are you actually doing at the moment musically?
Well, still whenever we can, doing the classic rock tribute band thing. But of course, with the pandemic, gigs have gone down. But we're working on the Factory band promotion. We've got a third song going to radio. The first 2 songs have had like 600 plays or something, which is pretty decent for independent release. Yes. We think. And so we've got another one coming out. So we're still promoting the album, which is called Aiming High. Yeah. The previous album we did, we're going to remix and release next. So we've got that. Okay. And then we've got another band thing that we're doing an album for. That's basically what I'm doing. But I've also got a couple of musicals that I've written, which are also kind of on hold because theatres are all closed.
Yes.
But so tend to keep busy.
Right. Well, so what sort of musicals are they? Are they completed
now? One of them is, and if do you know the story, The Man Who Would Be King? It's is Rudyard Kipling's story. There was a movie of it. It was Michael Caine and Sean Connery. Yeah. Anyway, so we've got a musical version of that.
Okay.
And the other one is interesting. It's called Bon Ton Roulette at the Shakespeare Cafe. So it's basically bits of Shakespeare's writings all put together in a story that takes place in a bar in New Orleans.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So what were you drinking at the time when you wrote this?
Plenty. Well, the Shakespeare one, it was the lady director and scriptwriter for it, wrote me in for doing the music. And so I working with her is interesting. She's got a very good vision of what it is she wants to do. She said, this one should sound like this, so I write something for that. No, that's not quite what I meant, I've got to go back to that. But it's worked out very well. It's very interesting. I had to learn about New Orleans Cajun music and things like that to throw some influences in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's certainly a great history with music in New Orleans. It's and when is that supposed to be coming out?
Well, we've already done it a couple of times in small theatres. I did 3 years ago. I went to Germany, Bremen in Germany, and we did it in the theatre there for a month or 5 weeks or something. It's also been on a couple of places here in the States, but we were going to go big with it, but then the pandemic hit, so we're kind of just waiting to see when things open up again. Hopefully we'll get it rolling.
Maybe you can get it into the West End of London.
I would love that. Sure. Yeah. Let me know. Just let me know, Chris.
I'll give my old mate Andrew Lloyd Webber a call and see if he's...
Lloyd Webber, you can get him on the line. That's good.
Yeah, I'll give him a shout. I'll send a quick message and see if he'll...
He's our man, yeah.
Yeah. Look, you never know about these things. It's we all have our dreams that we follow, and I think that's what drives us. And absolutely. always keep your dreams alive and just keep striving for them. And great things will happen, as you've demonstrated with your songwriting and your current work, which is great.
Yeah, it can. You have to keep going, otherwise you won't be there when it starts happening. You have to keep going.
Yeah, the worst thing to do is end up in later life and thinking, regretting what you didn't do, which is not a good situation to be in.
Right.
You're just sitting there miserable thinking, I could have done this. Well, do it.
Do it. That's what we're doing.
And if you fail, that's okay, because you've done it, and that's the best thing.
You gave it a shot. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So, other than the musicals, do you have any plans for the future? Any plans which you haven't yet put into practice yet? Or?
We've we've got all the musical stuff. I've got all kinds of things going on with that, as I've been explaining. I have kind of thought about maybe writing a book, but I don't know if that will ever happen or not. But that might be nice.
That's something that I've got on my cards, and I'm going to be doing.
You should have, because you've got an interesting story too.
Yes, I've got a few here and there, which I'd like to share, and a lot of people know about here and there. But there's a few little hidden stories which I think need to come out.
That's what we want to hear about, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got some juicy ones, I tell you.
That'll sell some books. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one or two that are worthy of a Hollywood script, which are too good to be true, but they are true. Every single iota of them. So I think it's time I should start putting them down. But
I'll read that myself. Yeah.
But I think writing a book is a really good idea, especially someone of your caliber with that experience. There's a lot. It would be great to read. It'd be a fantastic read. Even the short period of time we've been speaking now, there's a lot of content there, and you should definitely get it down.
No, well, maybe one of these days we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, one foot in front of the other, just one step at a time. It's always that first step, which is we're all good at procrastinating in the world. Everyone's an expert at procrastinating, so I think it's just a case of tomorrow I'm going to write the first word of the book, and just it'll flow from there.
Yeah. Exactly.
But other than writing a book, and what else do you have in mind that you'd like to do?
I can't really think of anything else. I mean, I've got all these different albums either being made or coming out.
Yeah,
I've got 4 of them, and the thought of the book when the theatres start up again, we get the musical back going. So I've got quite a bit to be getting on with, really.
Yeah. Well, it's currently.
What do you think I should be doing, Chris? Should I do some bungee jumping or climb Everest or something? What do you suggest for me?
A zip wire across the states. Yeah, try that.
Reverse I'm sure my wife Teresa is laughing her head off here because I'm afraid of heights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm very afraid of heights. Roller coasters and all that sort of stuff terrify me. So when we go to the theme parks, I'm the one that holds the coats.
Oh, I
Well,
see.
everybody-
Right. Well, you're afraid of heights. I'm afraid of widths. I don't like to go walking around the outside windows at the shelves.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that either. So yeah.
That's not very good. Yeah. So regarding your keyboard playing, what kind of keyboards do you have at the moment? What are you using at home?
I just have. Oh, I've got three. I've got a Hammond X1. It's like a digital Hammond.
Oh yeah, is that with the two tiers?
No, it's just a one tier,
Right.
but you can split the keyboard. So it,
Yeah.
like you can have it like two tiers, but it's just one tier. And I have a Neo ventilator, which is a Leslie simulator thing. Do you know those?
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's very
It's a
interesting.
little box about 6 or 7 inches wide, and it's fantastic. It gives you not only just the spinning thing, fast and slow, which you can adjust to any different setting, and you can use a bit of distortion on it, and it really makes the sound a lot better.
What's it called again?
It's a ventilator.
Ventilator.
The company that makes it is called Neo, Neo. I think it's a
Right.
German company, Neo Ventilator.
Blimey.
Yeah.
I have to check.
Because I used to have a Leslie at one time, and then I had a little smaller version of a Leslie. But there's a lot of stuff to lug around, and then you got to mic it up each side, when the horn thing spins, and trying to get people to do that at gigs was a problem. So then I found this little pedal. This pedal goes on the floor, does all that. It's fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah. So
okay. And what else do you have?
I've got a Korg Triton Extreme. Do you have those over there? Do you know that one?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's got like, I don't know, 1,500 sounds or whatever, and you can program them and edit them and samplers. And it's a workstation, they call it.
Yeah.
So that's my main one. That can do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And then just for fun, which is my kind of forte, I've got a guitar.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Roland AX Edge.
Have you used that live then?
Oh, absolutely, I do. Yeah. Yeah. To
How do you
the
find
irritation of my bandmates a lot of times, probably.
Yeah. Well, actually, the one video I did with a flock of seagulls, I played the guitar in their last video. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I've got to find that. And what song is that?
It was off the tour that I did. It was called Heartbeat Like a Drum.
Oh, okay, I'm going to look for that.
Heartbeat
Chris.
Like a Drum, and you'll see me playing the guitar. And I had long hair at the time.
Wow, fantastic. Well, the guitar is great, isn't it? I mean, it's so boring having to stand at the back or whatever or behind keyboards all the time. So nice to be able to get out and stretch your legs.
Well, I was shaking my ass really, but on the video, so
Yeah.
a little bit of throwing some moves,
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it wasn't
I'm
plugged in,
impressed.
but that's
I'm
an early one.
impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guitars and things like that, the technology is incredible. I mean, I've spoken several times now to other people on some other interviews and things that I've done. We always end up talking about plugins, because I'm a huge fan of plugins. I mean, I've got the Native Instruments S4 up here, straight into the computer. All the plugins that you can think of are there, with Hammond organs, mellotrons, strings, the whole lot.
They sound great, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, plugins I find are just so advanced these days, and that they mimic the exact sounds, if not better than the original. Because you can, the technology and the sound of the speakers now is so much better than it was years ago. It's you can just immerse yourself in those sounds completely, and adjust them as you wish. Still, nothing's better than the real thing, but who's going to take around half a ton of equipment these days? Just have a little laptop and you've got 1,000 tons of stuff in there already. Just open it up and press a button. You got your Hammond, you've got your organs, you've got your whatever you want, harpsichord, church organ, cathedral organ, everything's there.
Yeah, I really should get into that, but I'm always afraid of, I'm sure you can believe this, those technological computery things. I'm so used to having a keyboard that does a thing, and the plug-in thing. First of all, plug-in, that immediately makes you think, oh my God, what is that?
Well, it's funny you say that, because about 10 years ago when I started really using plugins, well, MainStage, for example, on Apple, where you have all the plugins on one device, and use it live. A lot of bands use them live, but it was a bit of a learning curve. But now that computers are so fast, it's instant. You press a button, you got your preset, and it's there, and you've got hundreds of thousands of presets available. So you just
wow.
curate what you want and have each song and just press a button up and down. Whatever song's next, everything's there. So you set it so that you've got 1, 2, 3 keyboards, and you press one button, and suddenly all the 3 keyboards have all the sounds that you want. So it's very simple, and it's very easy to program. You just got to decide, okay, this piano needs a special piano sound, this keyboard number 2 needs a string sound, and that one over there, an organ for this song.
Right.
If you're doing a live gig, and then you just press the preset up or down, or assign the song, and go to the next song, and immediately those presets are assigned, and it's so fast and reliable now that you don't have the lag or problem with latency. It's instant, and I think only very recently has that really come to the fore, where I feel confident enough to take the laptop and use that as the main source of the sounds.
Right. You go to a gig and you just need any old MIDI keyboard. Is that right?
You just need a good mother keyboard. Yeah, I mean, I tend to use weighted keyboards. You can use your normal keyboard, what you've got already, but the thing is, I mean, you can just connect it to your Triton, and you've got the whole world there. It's not just the sounds of the Triton. And the Triton's an amazing keyboard, but
you might have started something off for me here now, Chris.
Yeah, well, it's I'm happy to advise. I had a lot of failures in the past, and by that I mean doing gigs where I'm playing, and you're so used to having that instant brass sound or whatever it may be, change from brass to organ on the actual keyboard. But before, when I was using the plugins, there was a slight delay, and you'd miss it by a split second, and that split second is a lifetime when you're changing presets in the song, because you're going from one patch to the other. Now it is pretty much instant, so it's
okay. Well, if anything goes wrong with this, and if I try this and it goes wrong, I'm going to be saying, "Is this chrismars? He told me about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Not me.
That's right. Yeah. So you still playing guitar?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, so like a couple of the bands, like I've got a Bad Company band, the Foreigner band. I play guitar in some songs, and I've always played guitar on demos and things like that. I don't do the fancy stuff. I'm good with the chords or some riffs, but I try not to do solos. Occasionally I do, but mostly not.
Right. Yeah. What guitars do you have?
I've got a Fender Telecaster, Mexican made, but it's really great. It's got Seymour Duncan pickups on it. It sounds really, really good. And then I've got a Squier Strat, which I really don't use now. I would if I really had to, but I love the Telecaster.
Right, yeah. I've got a nice Fender Strat behind me, actually, if you can see it. It's over there.
Oh, yes. Oh, that is nice.
Yeah. You see it?
Yeah, I can.
It's a really nice one, yeah. Had that for a few years now. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
I actually started playing guitar when I was about 6, 7 years old.
Oh, did you? Wow, yeah.
I have that guitar here. It's an old Antoria acoustic.
Oh, wow.
Wherever it is, over there. I don't know if you can see it. It's hiding over there. Antoria, old Japanese guitar. Fantastic nylon string guitar. So I started playing on that, and then progressed to the guitar when I was about 12, 13 to electric, and played in bands, and then carried on the piano, and left school and went straight into performing live and singing with the piano, earning a living that way. But, but guitar's always in my heart. It's great.
Yeah. I like 12 strings. I'm a big fan of 12 strings.
Me too. I love the sound.
I have an electric 12 string, because in our factory band, I always played electric 12 strings. So I had to get another one when we reformed the band.
Acoustic 12 string or electric? Oh, electric, you say?
I have both, but it's the electric that I use with the band. Yeah.
Right. Takes half a year to tune, doesn't it?
It does. And then 10 minutes later, you have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
But,
well,
never mind.
Interesting story, actually. A little bit of trivia here regarding when Genesis were playing back in the early 70s. There were songs where they all played the guitars and they had 12 strings.
Yeah.
And they took forever to tune. That's why Peter Gabriel started coming up with these stories and these costumes, was to keep the audience busy whilst they were tuning their guitars.
Yeah.
So that's where he came up with all these costumes, and kind of sculpted the band towards being a well-known, an amazing band known for their costumes and things.
Right.
Because of that reason, because it took so damn long to tune the guitars.
Yeah. Well, back in 1972, when I had friends at Hastings College, and they were trying to organize a gig for the summertime or whatever,
Right.
and they asked my help to suggest some bands. So well, I really like Uriah Heep. See if you can get them. And they had a list from an agent with prices, and Uriah Heep's price had gone way up, so they couldn't afford that. And I said, well, there's this band Genesis that a friend of my band said they were really good. Maybe you could try them. And I think it was 150 quid, I think, for Genesis at that time. And then we had Budgie, because that was a contrast.
Right.
So we had Genesis and Budgie on Hastings Pier, 1972. And they were doing that, like you say, 3 of them playing acoustics sometimes. Yeah, it was incredible.
Wow,
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
In the early days of Genesis, well, one of my favourite bands, so I'm very
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
right up there.
Completely. Well, Tony Banks is one of my heroes. It's still
absolutely, and me too. And I think in 2007 they played over here at the Hollywood Bowl, and I bought tickets from a sort of scalper outside the show like 10 minutes before they went on. It was a good deal, and I was right up near the front, right by Tony Banks. And then by the encore, it was raining. And they were still kind of playing, and then the roadies are running on with, a plastic and tarpaulins and things to cover the stuff. And eventually there's Tony Banks is on his hands and knees trying to plug stuff in. I thought, wow, this is a god here, a rock god who's on his hands and knees trying to plug stuff in just like we do.
Right.
It was great.
Actually, I saw them on that tour, 2007. I was doing some gigs in Berlin, and regarding Tony Banks, that really embarrassing thing happened because cut a long story short, back in '85 when I used to play at Stringfellows nightclub, and I was playing the piano in there, and Phil Collins came in with Mike Rutherford and Robert Plant, and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "That sounds like Phil Collins to me," and it was Phil Collins. So I started talking to them, and I'll never forget that intro because I was very young at the time. I was 20 years old, and for me, meeting your heroes of that age was amazing. Anyway, so that was that. But in 2007, there I was in Berlin, went shopping to the local shopping centre nearby where I was doing the gig on the day of the Genesis concert at the Olympia Stadium, which I had tickets to go and see. And I was just walking towards the entrance, and lo and behold, there was Tony Banks and his wife. And I said, "Tony," he says, "Hello." I said, "Oh, I'm Chris. How you doing?" He said, "Oh, hello." He shook my hand. I mean, it's got the hardest handshake I've ever felt. And he said, "I said, yeah, I'm performing here and blah blah blah, and I'm going to see you and look forward to seeing the gig." And it was the first time I'd actually met him since another time in the studio, down at their studio in Farnham, and he wasn't actually at that Stringfellows evening, and. I said, "Oh, I remember I met you at Stringfellows back in God, '85." He goes, "Stringfellows? Oh, well, I wasn't Stringfellows." His wife was there going, It's a strip club now. It's a strip club now. Stringfellows? He goes, no, I was never at Stringfellows. No, definitely not. I said, no, sure. Yeah, I'm really sure I wasn't there. Never been to Stringfellows. I said, okay, yeah, maybe you haven't. And I realised, oh my God, what have I said here? But no, of course, I mean, that was at the height of their fame, really. So it wasn't a problem, but I nearly, it could have been a really, really, really embarrassing moment, but it wasn't. But that I shall never ever forget. And of course, the gig was fantastic. And as you well know, because you were there too.
Yeah.
Incredible tour. Yeah.
No, I loved it. Well, that's a great story that you met them.
Yeah, I met him a few times. And
I've never met them, so that's awesome.
No?
I've never met any Genesis people, no.
Oh, yeah, I got to know Steve Hackett quite well, and got to see him a few times. He's great. He lives not far from here.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
In West London.
He's fantastic too.
Yeah, he's a genius. I love Steve. I mean, his albums are incredible.
Absolutely.
Really, really good. And of course, we've got mutual friends that play with some of the other guys, I think. So, yeah. It's it's a good old world, the music industry. Just got to try and get through this period in time. We've all got to. In fact, I want to go and see Genesis later in the year. Go and see them
that'd be great.
if I'm still here. It'd be good to go and see them.
Absolutely.
And listen to those amazing tracks that they wrote back in the 70s. Just can't beat them. Can't beat them.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
I guess they inspired you, your keyboard playing.
Absolutely inspired my keyboard playing. Yeah, Tony Banks is the man. Yeah, I love his chords and everything that he uses. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, what was your most inspirational piece from them?
Oh well, I love the solo in the cinema show.
Oh, it's incredible.
That one.
Yeah.
That's probably my main favorite. But there's so many. Because the piano intro for Firth of Fifth. Good Lord.
Oh God, yes. You play it.
No, I did start trying to learn it once. I thought, good heavens, this is going to take me the rest of my life and more.
Read this.
Yes.
I'll do it later.
Bravo, sir, bravo. That's further than I got, that's for sure.
This is turning into a Genesis tribute day.
Yeah.
Okay, name that tune.
Yeah. And the lamb lies down.
Yeah. Yes.
I love Genesis so much. I thought it'd be great to have a Genesis tribute band. I thought, wait a minute, that's a lot of work in there. I don't think so.
Yeah, there's a few really good Genesis tribute bands around, actually, I must say.
Oh, there are. Yeah, my hat's off to them. That's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah, it is a lot of work, especially as a keyboard player.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. Thanks for joining me on my contribution to music online at Chrismars Music.
Fantastic. It's been really a lot of fun, Chris. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. We could sit here and talk more, and I'm sure we will. Let's do it again. Let's have another chat sometime soon. And we'll get our books started so we can be talking about that next time. Absolutely. And do you have any plans to come to the UK at all? As soon as we're able to, I'm sure we will, because the factory band, we're hanging out to play gigs. We had gigs, to launch our album over a year ago, and then of course everything hit the fan, and we had to cancel it. So we need to do some shows over there. Yes, well, I think you should. Life is short, and this pandemic will be ending soon, so I'm sure we'll be back in our driving seat, our musical driving seat, indeed. Absolutely. Yeah, well, Andy, thanks again. Appreciate it. You take care. And 1 second, I'm just going to say that we didn't need a second take, but that was Andy Kunter, live from Los Angeles, Corona. Corona is the name of the place. So yeah. Andy Kunter was live in Corona, near Los Angeles, California. Thank you very much. Over and out, Andy. Thanks.